as long as you want.
I went to go buy one yesterday, but I wasn't able to do what the EQC right away.
It's great.
So
I love it.
actually, I was getting teased.
I hope it actually is recording. Like, listening to it.
You have to make sure, right?
Should be good.
Really sucks when it doesn't work.
Yeah, but I don't see it. Yeah, but like it looks like but I
All right, quiet down, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank everyone that's here today, tuning into the live press conference here on the Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. A lot of big things coming to this podcast, as you know, if you've seen the recent episodes of the show. Lots and lots of crazy stuff coming to the podcast, and with the big news today, the future of this podcast does look bright. So we got some big news concerning the Lowdown show today. Big sponsorship news coming out of this weekend as well. And so, yeah, big things coming to the Lowdown show. So without further ado, let's start the live press conference. If you guys in the chat on YouTube Live do have any questions for the guest stars here on this podcast, please do so by putting it in the chat, and we'll answer to the best of our ability. And any questions you have for myself as well. Kyle Masters, the host of No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. So without further ado, first bit of news we're on the agenda today is to announce the official new co-host to the podcast. This was a really tough decision. As you know, Corporate Cappy had to leave and pursue other endeavors on his behalf. I would like to say thank you for everyone that supported him on this podcast, and on myself, I'd like to thank him for supporting myself throughout the years here on the Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. So we wish him well in his future endeavors. And now to announce his successor, it is none other than the host that runs the West Coast, Michael Chow. Michael Chow.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to shake things up again. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing?
I think everyone is good, Michael Chow. So thank you for being the new co-host here on No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. And, of course, the show of the podcast, the Lowdown Show. As we know, that's where we review NXT every single week. Michael Chow is going to take on the full duties of the previous co-host, Corporate Cappy, right here on the show, and give his insights to the glorious brand NXT.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been stressing for so long, I had to change my podcast to once a month. And then I just said, screw it. I decided to end my podcast, but you know, I'm glad I could hook up with you guys. And just like WCW, you have actually bought your competition. So, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Chow TV, WWE MC TV is now in the hands of No Holds Barred Podcast. The wrestling world may never be the same again.
What huge news coming to the podcast. This is actually bigger news, I think, than Eric Bischoff and Vince McMahon back in 2002 when he announced him as the new Raw general manager. So thank you, Michael Chow, for accepting the role as the new co-host here of No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. As you know, is where we review NXT every single week. What do you think? What do you think about, or what do you? How about you tell the people out there what you are going to bring to the podcast involving NXT and reviewing it every single week, and why you think that it is best for business to be talking about NXT every single week?
Well, I can honestly tell you that I'll bring happiness, I'll bring enjoyment, I'll bring a good vibe to a point where anyone who's seen the main roster knows, or anyone who used to tune into my old podcast, I was literally pulling out my hair, ranting so much. I'm glad to be a part of a podcast and to review a show where I can actually be happy for once to talk about how good this show is. You know, and not have to, honestly, take a damn shower after I do a podcast, because talking about Raw and SmackDown Live just made me feel freaking dirty. I had to take about 10 showers literally yesterday just to hear about Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you very much there, Michael. So yes, huge news there, guys. Michael Chow is joining No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast, sort of like, I guess you can say, a collab of two great podcasts coming together and talking about what we feel is the A brand in the WWE, and that is NXT, the hottest thing today and the most growing brand today. And to us, we feel that every single week we watch NXT, and Michael does feel the same way. You're left feeling good. You're left not feeling like shit or like, oh, what the hell just happened in that episode? Like, I'm pissed. I'm not looking forward to next week. NXT leaves you looking forward to every single week, and it just makes you wonder. Like, the creative decisions are all on point down NXT. Yes, there are sometimes some flaws. NXT is not 100% perfect, which we will talk about on the Lowdown Show week after week. But mostly, for the most part, it is a great show to review. It's a great show to talk about. We love hearing your guys' opinions out there on definitely the A show in our minds in the WWE, and that is NXT. And NXT is growing, and so is this podcast. So, Michael Chow, would like to thank you for accepting the role as the new co-host here on No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. And guys, the Lowdown Show is going to go through major changes with the addition of Michael Chow. So this is going to be a one hell of a ride going forward. So you do not want to miss this or hop off that bus. Stay with us, because we are NXT. Excuse me. There's a lot to get out. Michael Chow, did you want to add anything at all?
No, I just want to say thank you so much to you. Honestly, it is a huge honor. It was actually you and Corporate Cappy that actually inspired me to start my own podcast. So to be able to come back after my show went off the air to actually help co-host this one is honestly a true honor. It really is. And I really hope I can do half a good job as Corporate Cappy. But you know what? He's moved on to future better endeavors, hopefully in New Japan. But other than that, good luck, Cappy. And guys, check out Cappy's YouTube channel as he moves on to different things. And I'm going to try and bring some more to this show. But as of right now, just co-hosting. And yeah, there's just going to be a lot of great stuff coming to this show, guys. So I'm very happy to do this. And very looking forward to where this show goes. Because this show's been on definitely longer than my podcast. It's always expanding. And I'm glad to be a part of this. And hopefully together, just like WCW and ECW, the Alliance will try and bring it to the table. And I think we've already canceled that show. So good job. This podcast already got off to a good start.
Good. I think we did too. Anyways, that is the first big news here in the press conference, ladies and gentlemen. So Michael Chow at Michael Chow TV joining No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. Go give him a follow, guys, on Twitter. Michael Chow TV he will be part of this podcast. And if you follow this podcast, you want to follow the co-hosts, and Michael Chow is definitely one of them. And speaking of co-hosts, that is not the first big news of today's press conference, ladies and gentlemen. We have, believe it or not, a second co-host joining the podcast, and it is a new segment coming to the Lowdown Show every single week right here in the Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. It'll be basically, we haven't had a name for this segment yet. That's still in beta, so stay tuned for that, but it will basically be covering the main roster part, because we know you guys want your little main roster fill every single week on the podcast. I'm not just going to talk about NXT. We'll give some main roster fill when we do it, but ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you to or have a welcome to the press conference table the new co-host of the main roster part of the segment of the Lowdown Show. His name on Twitter is @BIsForAwesome, or you can refer to him as Brian.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's official. The fans have jumped the barricade. I've been drafted to the No Holds Barred podcast. That's right. The voice of Raw and SmackDown, the main roster Maharaja, is joining forces with the Master of Kyles. And who the hell is Michael Chan? Here to superstar shake it up and talk some wrestling. If Michael Chow is Eric Bischoff, Kyle Masters is Vince McMahon, then call me an uglier Paul Heyman. How's it going, everybody?
But thank you, B.S. Rossman. He will be taking part of the main roster part of the Lowdown Show every single week, guys. So if you want your main roster fill in the show as well, we're going to have it all on the Lowdown Show. And B.S. for Awesome is going to host or co-host that segment every single week. And I have the first question to B.S. for Awesome or Brian. Brian, what are you going to bring to the podcast in a sense of the main roster? And what do you hope to accomplish with being part of that main roster part of the show?
Well, what I'm bringing is we're going to do a Raw and SmackDown, quick review every week. If there's any kind of pay-per-views or special events, we'll be talking about that. Any breaking news throughout the week, top rumors, any more Nikki Bella and Cena news, of course, is going to be priority. And then we're also going to be adding a new part to the show. We're going to be picking 3 random fan tweet questions about the main roster that any of us can answer here on the show. All you got to do is tweet to the No Holds Barred podcast. We're going to pick 3 random questions of the week, and we'll go from there.
I think we're going to get you an official hashtag for that part of the show as well, Brian, so that way people can filter in those tweets by using that hashtag and be Ask Brian or Ask B is for Awesome, something like that. We'll get that worked out for you. But Michael Chow, do you have a question for B is for Awesome at all?
No, just the fact I'm a little bit disappointed we had to add a third part to our commentary team. Man, what is the freaking Monday Night Raw? Gosh damn it. All right, guess. All right, well, what else can you do?
Well, I'll be the Corey Graves. Kyle can be Michael, and you'll be Saxton. That's fine.
Oh, I'll be Michael the Big Jog. It's boss time.
Wow.
No, all honesty, I mean, I could just say, it's great to have a third co-host on that does the main roster, so I don't have to, and it's gonna be fun seeing Brian bring his 2 cents about the main roster. So
yeah,
I'm gonna say, with all due respect and in the most positive way, good luck, Brian. I'm rooting for you.
You guys can keep your green jabronis down there in the minor league. I'll be talking. The big game up here.
Oh, the minor league. We'll see about that once NXT rises to the top there.
But let's hope not like Backlash, that the people in the chat room don't walk out on you like they did on Backlash for the main roster. So everyone in the chat room, don't walk out yet, please. Please, not yet.
But thank you guys. So, B.S. Frost, I understand that you are going to bring what is like a comedy aspect to the part of the main roster segment. Do we have any teases of what's to come here for that part of the show of the Lowdown Show with the main roster?
Yeah, I mean, as you can tell, I don't really take this whole wrestling thing too serious. NXT by far is a better wrestling show, but I do take quite big pride in being a huge WWE mark. Ever since I was a little girl, I've been watching it. So, yeah, I'll be bringing things like, probably a lot of Roman bashing. That's going to be for sure.
That's all in fun. People, the Roman, the little people that jump on everything you say about Roman. Let's all calm down. It's all in good fun here.
Oh, right? Yeah, it's nothing against the guy. It's just the booking. Maybe not so much the booking or creative. Yeah. We're gonna do things like wager whether Sasha botches a match or cries after a match. We're gonna try to figure out if Bayley is a heel or a face this week. And we're also going to do a drinking game for every time Michael Cole says the big dog.
Or boss time. Or
boss time, either one.
Yeah, those are his favorite words of Monday Night Raw.
Of course.
but thank you, B is for awesome. So that is the second big news of the conference, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, Michael Chow being the official new co-host with me on the Lone Show talking about NXT, and then also B is for awesome joining the crew and covering the main roster slot of the Lowdown Show every single week. The Lone Show is becoming a big show, and big things are coming to that show, guys, as far as contests, live shows here on YouTube. It's all going to be a lot of fan engagement and fan involvement with you guys out there. That is the main thing that we want to focus this podcast on, is having you guys out there involved in this podcast in some kind of way. So look out for that, and look out for big things coming to this podcast in the future. Now for some really exciting news, another part here of the press conference right here on YouTube Live. Ladies and gentlemen, I received some big news over the weekend. I was in contact with the owner of a website over the weekend, and it is now made official. This podcast is now officially sponsored. Finally. This podcast is sponsored. So if you guys have heard this podcast before, and you've probably heard me talk about it, Extreme Wrestling Shirts is a great website, and I'm going to transition for you guys on the screen while I talk about it. ExtremeWrestlingShirts.com. They specialize in pro wrestling and MMA apparel. They have over 50,000 t-shirts, sweatshirts, costumes, DVDs, and pendants in stock right now. A lot of WWE shop stuff is on that website. The only difference is you don't get the little authentic patch at the bottom, but I can assure you, I've ordered from this website many times before. The quality is 100% awesome. You're not going to get anything better. It's going to be exactly like you would order from the WWE shop, if not better. And the best part of this all, free shipping to the US and Canada. Yeah, that's right. I said it right. Free shipping to USA and Canada. If you do live in the part of the rest of the world, you do need to buy 3 items, and shipping is free, but I guarantee you, once you take a look at this website, you're probably going to fill that shopping cart up with 20 stuff. I'm guaranteeing you that right now. And because we are now officially partnered with Extreme Wrestling Shirts, I have a promo code for you all out there. You will use promo code No Holds on checkout. So when it says the little coupon code thing, you will type in No Holds, all in capitals, and you're going to save 10% on your order. And that is not even the greatest part of that. One lucky fan per month that uses this code when they buy something from this website will receive a free gift, and I'm being told is a really good gift from the guy that runs the website. It could be even another t-shirt of your choosing, and they will give you it on checkout as well from Extreme Wrestling Shirts. So one lucky fan per month will win a free gift when you use that promo code. So it'll be once a month, and I will make a note of it, and I will announce it on Twitter. I will announce it maybe in a video of whoever wins that prize, and maybe you'll get a shout out on the show. We will do something with that. So ExtremeWrestlingShirts.com, guys, go check it out. Honestly, it's amazing. The quality is 100%. It's good, guys. You're gonna want to go there. Once you order from this website, you're not gonna want to order from WWE Shop again. And if you're like me, who hates that when they have those $5 shirt deals, and you get to the checkout and it says $32 at the end. It's like, oh, okay, I thought it was $5. But no, I forgot. There's shipping, there's taxes, there's, if you're in Canada, you have to pay duty. All this nonsense. With this website, you're paying 0 taxes, 0 shipping, 0 anything. All you do is pay for the shirt itself. That's it. It's free shipping. If you do, it does let you choose. If you want expedited shipping, you do have to pay for it, but it's free standard shipping to US and Canada. That's why this website is great, and that's why now we are officially partnered with ExtremeWrestlingShirts.com. So that is the another exciting part of the podcast, is now finally officially partnered after years of getting this podcast partner. Michael, I'm just laughing at what you put in the chat. Very excited when HBWP bought me out for $4 billion. It was a hefty buyout.
Yeah, you guys don't understand. To co-host the show, I actually had to fight Sin Cara to be credible to co-host the show.
You did? Okay, so Michael Chow did. This is confirmed. We haven't had our first show yet. We already have confirmed news here. Might as well let Brian announce this news that Michael Chow beat Sin Cara, since that has to do with the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, in a slobber knocker, one would say. Michael Chow barely squeaks by with the roll-up pin. You know, as the green rookie he is from NXT, all they can do is roll up pins.
Exactly. Don't worry. I put a little bit of that main roster flavor. I did kick Sin Cara in the nuts. in
Oh,
order
okay.
to secure that win.
Knee to nuts. Knee to nuts.
Oh God, Mike, I just want to say, what those segments with Shinsuke Nakamura, and I know I'm getting off topic here, it has nothing to do with the press conference, but those interviews with Renee Young and Shinsuke Nakamura, where he answered her question, but then when he gets a question he doesn't want to answer, he just turns and goes, "I don't speak any English," and walks away. I'm like, they really had him do that, like.
That was the best thing he's done. on the
Darby
main roster.
like rides the line so close sometimes. And I'm going, oh man, they're gonna like wouldn't that offend people like when him doing that? I know he is Asian, but like you know what I mean? It's something like
I mean, they
I
had
don't know.
they had the Mexicals come out on lawnmowers.
Kids watch the show. It's a kids show. You don't want the kids copying what they see on the TV and going to school and finding an Asian kid and saying, "Oh, I don't speak English." Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't. It's just it draws the line sometimes. So.
It was kind of stupid because I remember on Monday Night Raw they had a thing where didn't like Alexa Bliss say, "Oh well, Asuka doesn't speak English or something,"
yeah, and then the fat
and
shaming
she was
stuff they're
speaking
doing.
English. It was
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Even the fat shaming stuff they're doing with her. Well, we'll save this for the podcast. But those are the big news coming out of the press conference here tonight, guys. Michael Chow joined the team as the new co-host of the Low End Show, talking about NXT. We also got B is for Awesome joining the podcast, the other co-host, talking about the main roster and what he's going to bring to that part of the show. A lot of exciting things, and also the big news of us finally getting sponsored right here on No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast from Extreme Wrestling Shirts. .com, and again, use promo code No Holds and you will save 10% on checkout. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for the live press conference here for No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. We hope you appreciate it, and we hope you're excited as we are for the future here of No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. So on behalf of myself, the new co-host Michael Chow, and a new co-host Brian, we'll see you guys in the new future for No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast.